Okay, so now we're going to look at quadratics a little bit further. So a few definitions. So pause the video, get these down. So remember we've talked about the vertex. So as we recall, parabolas always make a U shape. It can either be pointing up or it can be pointing down. Either way, the vertex is that very top or very low point. We remember standard form. We've talked about the roots. So the roots are the solutions to a quadratic. And we've looked at them and we've seen they're wherever I cross the x-axis. And it's where the factors equal 0. And the reason we say that is because on the x-axis, y is 0. So they do in fact equal 0. And we remember that negative a and positive a can make a graph point up or point down. So let's relate this to graphing. When is y equal to 0? We just talked about that. Can we determine the roots simply by looking? We remember that we can do that. We're going to skip 3 and 4. Let's look at number 5. Okay. How does the coefficient of a determine whether the graph points up or down? We, again, covered that. So when a is negative, think about this. Is the vertex a minimum or a maximum? And what about when a is positive? So after we're done, you should be able to come back and answer these 3 questions. So let's flip. All right, and we're going to learn how to find the maximum and the minimum using our calculator. So let's enter this equation in. Y equals, so I need to clear a few things out. All right, so my equation is negative 2x squared minus 6x plus 7. Okay. Now I've given you what you should adjust the window to. So let's go to window. Sorry, I'm going to try to hide this clear. So the window button right here. I'm going to let x be negative 6. The x maximum be 10. I'm going to let my x-axis count by ones. On the y-axis, though, I need to look at a little bit more. So I need to go down as far as negative 20, up as far as 20. And so that I can tell this a little bit more precisely, I'm going to let my y-axis count by 2's. All right, let's graph this. Let's look and just see what it looks like. So there's my parabola. As we would have thought, because this was a negative, it points down, which means I'm going to have a very top point. So we're going to use our good old friend, the calc menu, which we know stands for calculate. So it's above trace. So I have to hit second trace. And look at there, there's words that mean minimum and maximum. So they've made it very simple for us. I know this is a maximum, so I'm going to find the maximum. All right. And now this is where it can get a little confusing sometimes. When it asks you for the left bound and the right bound, it's not asking you left or right of the graph. It's not asking you left or right of the whole parabola. It's asking you the left and right of the exact point that we want. So I'm going to scroll up. And this is what I always tell people to do so that we don't get confused. My vertex is about right here. I can tell it's not exactly the vertex because it's not quite right on there, but it's about right here. So what it's asking me is to go a little bit to the left of that. So a little to the left, hit enter. Now right bound. Again, it means to the right of this point that I'm looking for. So I'm going to scroll. I would scroll back to the point. It just gives us a frame of reference. Now, this is the point that I want to find. I just need to be a little bit to the left of it. Hit enter again. Do we see these little arrows that popped up? These arrows are saying, find a point in between here. So always make sure your arrows, you want them to be pretty close together, but not so close together that there's no room for error. Let's hit enter one more time. And there it gives us. My maximum is negative 1.5 for x, and 11, and 11.5 for y is my ordered pair. So this is one that it would have been tough. They're not whole numbers. This would have been hard for us to see. So we have our calculators to help show us, to help find us the exact numbers. So some questions to consider. So pause the video, answer these questions, and try these 4. Okay. Now we are going to learn how to find the zeros by using our calculator also. So we're going to let our calculator help us as much as possible. Okay, so let's put this new function in. So now y equals 3x squared plus 2x, 3x squared plus 2x minus 4. Okay, enter the function. I've given you a window to help you out. I won't always be giving you the window, so one thing you may always want to do is look at it. What I had here actually would have worked just fine. I see, though, that I have a lot of empty space down here that I don't really need. So always, the window is going to change for everything. There's no formula to help you find the window. It's just looking at it and using your common sense to figure out what you need to look at. So let's go to the window. I've said go from -5 to 5. For the y maximum and minimum, I'm going to use -10 and +10. And I'm going to go back to having a scale of 1 for the x and the y axis. I don't need to look at very big numbers this time. So let's graph this. There. And now I can see a lot more of this graph. I can tell a lot more about it. All right. So step 3, again, we're going to go back to our old friend, the calc menu. And we're just always going to use the vocabulary that we see that makes the most sense to us. So when I was looking for the vertex, I know maximum and minimum mean vertex. Now I'm looking for the zeros, so it seems fairly obvious to use the word 0. So let's scroll down. Here's another case where it can get confusing. So we need to first remember, I have how many zeros? I know I have one here, and I know I have another right here. That means I'm going to have to do this process once for this one and once for this one. So I'm going to start with this guy on the left. I'm looking for about this point. I can easily see that this isn't right because y is not 0. So of course I'm not on it. So the left of this point, just hit left once or twice, enter. So that we don't get confused, just go back down to the point that you're on. This is the point I'm looking for. So if I want the right bound of it, now I just have to hit right once or twice. My arrows right here are right in between the point that I want. So now I hit enter. And there's one of my zeros. So I can write this down. I'm not going to show you that quite yet. So I had negative 1.53, comma 0. That was my ordered pair. Okay, let's do it again. So I can trace, gives me the calculate menu. We'll go to 0 again. Now I've already found this one. Now I need this one. So let's come over here. Let's put our cursor where I want the point. This is the point I'm looking for. So left bound, I'll go to the left, hit enter. Go back to the point. Right bound, hit enter. And there I go. So these are numbers that would have been pretty difficult to find on their own. I can move my calculator now. I have the screen here to show you. It would have been hard to look at this and to see this. So our calculator has done it for us. So I know that when x is 0.86, we'll round this to 9, y is 0. All right, so now I'm leaving it to you to practice these last 4.